Hello everyone and welcome back to Vulnerability Weekly. This week was a particularly busy week for especially the Microsoft Exchange attack from China's suspected ATP group and other vulnerability chain in Bitbucket and Cobalt Strike. We will explore in a separate video the full detail about the Microsoft Exchange attack and the current situation with the compromise and where organizations are and the recommendation of Microsoft. There is a whole special dedicated to that. So today we're going to go quickly on that aspect, and I'm going to link to the other specifically September 29, a Vietnamese company, the blue team of a Vietnamese company, GTSC, have discovered an RCE originally, and then follow on from another vulnerability that was chained with the RCE to actually trigger the RCE, the remote code execution on Exchange server. And Microsoft since then have recorded a couple of CVE, the 41040 and the 41082, with no fix, unfortunately, to date, and today is the 3rd of October, but just mitigation. And mitigation is to prevent the remote code execution and the attack string. At this point in time, there are a number of Microsoft Exchange server distributed specifically in the US, Germany, France, UK, that could be potentially compromisable. If you have an online Microsoft Exchange, then the compromisation and the fixes are automatically added, and the filter has been automatically added by Microsoft. If you have an Exchange on premises, the mitigation actually need to be applied. But as I said, there is a whole dedicated post. There is a whole dedicated post on this particular vulnerability and mitigation. Now, chain to this, I'm going to skip 1 second the Bitbucket. The Cobalt Strike, there was a couple of elements. One, a beacon, a Cobalt Strike beacon that was used as an attack vector for triggering a vulnerability in Cobalt Strike, and then a vulnerability, a cross-site scripting vulnerability in Cobalt Strike that was used to attack system, leveraging US job description with a phishing email to attack Bitbucket, to attack fundamentally organization, and then persist in organization. So there were two attack patterns that fundamentally disclosed the job description and enable an attacker to exploit fundamentally the vulnerability. The official maintainer of Cobalt Strike have since then fixed the vulnerability, and there been a CVE. Nonetheless, the CVE is still pretty much exploitable. So if you have Cobalt Strike server, don't expose it externally, and always be suspicious of attachment. Even though this was particularly sneaky because it was targeting with vulnerability script the attack. On the other side, the CISA have mandated the fix of a Bitbucket server. Bitbucket is a code repository server from Atlassian that is quite popular in conjunction with Jira, Confluence, and other platforms. Since this weekend, so since beginning of October, the CVE 36804 was released that affected several versions of Bitbucket, and this was chained together with the Cobalt Strike attack to then fundamentally compromise. At the moment, luckily, there aren't a lot of Bitbucket server exposed. Nonetheless, this has been chained with the Cobalt Strike server and the phishing attack. So this attack vector and pattern attack from internal So it's a little bit more tricky to identify the potential external attack surface because this attack was lateral movement and internal to exfiltration to external and potentially permanent. So as I said, there is another article and another full-blown detail on the Microsoft Exchange that we will cover in a separate video. I hope this was informational. I hope you stay safe out there. This was Francesco Cipollone, your host for Vulnerability Weekly. As always, check out the latest vulnerability at www.appsecphoenix.com/vulnerability weekly. Thank you so much for watching us.